Welcome aboard, Matt Taylor, the voice of the Indianapolis Colts. How are you, sir?
Hey, I'm good. What's going on?
Not much. Just trying to stay out of the cold.
No question. Hey, the groundhog saw a shadow today. That's not good news, right?
Yeah, that's what I heard. I'm starting to put less faith in the groundhog.
Emphasis on a rodent. Oh man, what took you so long?
I think he's been around long enough that maybe it's time that he's senile, and so I'm like,
Yeah, you're trusting in a rodent that burrows himself, right? I mean, I'm not even going to get into it because I don't even know, but I'm just always fascinated. How do these things start? You know, I know they're folklore, but how do they even begin? And how do
that
they
one's
gain steam?
and of all one that one's really
around?
One that you want to know how to begin. How the hell did the groundhog seeing a shadow begin have anything to do with that?
And why do we still do it?
Well, because you got Bill Murray. That's why.
Bill Murray. Yeah. Yeah, the movie is way better than anything associated with the actual day.
Punxsutawney Phil, that's right. Don't complain. Pete's up in the land of the Vikings. Says 20 is a heat wave.
Yeah,
it's 11 in up there in Minneapolis. High for the day. Heading to like 0 minus 10 tonight. Ah! Oh, I laugh, but it's not funny. But yikes! No. I saw it was going to be wind chill in Caribou, Maine. Wind chill is going to be negative 49.
Jesus! Wow, that's insane right there.
I mean, that's
living. I mean, that is living.
What do you do with that?
No, you don't. You don't do anything with that. You just watch the calendar and wait for March, I suppose.
Seriously, I'm like, well, you just pray the heat doesn't go out.
Yeah, for sure, no doubt, for sure.
Hey, any chance I can get an interview for the head coaching job?
Well, I mean, send in your resume. I'm sure somebody'd call you back. If you got the credentials for it, which I'm sure you do. That's where we're at right now. It's I mean, I don't think I'm surprised by the process, to be honest with you. I mean, we knew this was going to be a patient and diligent process. I mean, Chris Ballard said as such, at the end of the season in his end of the season press conference. So I'm not really surprised by this. I mean, they know this is a really important decision. I mean, the franchise right now is sort of at a turning point. I mean, whatever you want to call it. I mean, it's definitely a transition period as, you're not going to be picking fourth in the draft very often, or at least you hope not. I mean, they haven't in a long time. And you're trying to get the head coach right to develop, what we all think is got a high degree of possibility being a young, 22-year-old rookie franchise quarterback. So, you're trying to build up that culture. You're trying to build up the development of a young team that's got some star players on it. Yes. But they're trying to marry, two important positions this offseason: head coach and culture, and hopefully state-of-the-art coordinators on offense and defense, and then young dynamic quarterback. We'll see if those things come to fruition later on in the offseason.
Yeah, I wonder, I was just sitting there thinking, Matt, how it's pretty rare that a team that is in the position that the Colts are in as far as the draft of right now fourth, but potentially trading up to number one, who knows? But being in the position of getting that high draft pick of, again, potential number one, and not having a coach at the same time. It's just a weird scenario.
Yeah, I think it's even more unique, like you talked about. I mean, the Chicago Bears have their quarterback, right? They've got their quarterback, and now they're sitting number one. So that makes it even more interesting if you project a couple of months in advance looking at the draft. Yeah, no question. I mean, there's a debate on sports talk radio going on up here. Which is more important to the long-term health and success of the team? Talking for the Colts, is it head coach or quarterback? And, I think you can see it both ways, but I think it's fair to say, if you just boil it all down, that both are incredibly important. And that's why the Colts are taking their time and making sure that they go through this experience to have as many different perspectives on who should guide this team and this franchise going forward. And it goes the other way as well, right? It should go the other way as well, where they want these head coaches to come in and interview the Colts as well. Ask them, hey, what happened towards the end of the season? When I watch tape, when I turn on the film, this is what I see. These are the things that I can glean from the outside. This would be my take on how to fix things, or this would be my process on hiring an offensive coordinator, or this would be how I would go about this situation. So I think they want as many perspectives and fresh eyeballs on where the Colts are, how they got here, and how they ended the season as possible, so that they can weigh their options and figure out who kind of blends the best football acumen, leader of men, and path going forward to get this team back into the playoffs in 2023.
Did Sean Payton ever interview with the Colts, to your knowledge?
He did not.
Why?
He did not. So the Colts have released, or they did release, all of the candidates in the first round. They have not done that in the second round. And so Sean Payton did not receive an initial interview with the Colts.
I have to ask why. I'm sure you don't know the answer to this, but that shocks me. I mean, that really shocks me unless he made it known that, hey, I'm not interested or whatever. But I'm shocked.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't have any intel there. I don't know. I mean, obviously, you had to trade for him, right? I mean, so the Broncos gave up compensation, and if the reports are accurate, it's first round compensation.
Well, that explains it a little bit there.
Yeah, that's huge, obviously, for a team like the Colts that's not going to obviously give up their first round pick this year.
You can't.
Right. So I don't have any intel there. I'm sorry.
Well, that explains it right there. I mean, that lays it out. I mean, they can't afford to give it up. It's one or the other there, and you've got to keep the pick for the quarterback. They've got to stay in the draft and stay up high in the pick. So now I understand completely. And how about Jim Harbaugh? Wasn't it a week ago that he was announced that he wasn't leaving, and then again he meets with the damn Broncos the other day?
Yeah, very, very, very unique situation. Yeah, I mean, and you're probably not going to find out the truth on that situation, maybe ever, but you're certainly not going to find it out from a Michigan perspective, right? If anything does come out, it would be from Harbaugh's, certainly, again, I just use the word unique camp and how they handle things. And, so, I mean, this is what's probably going to happen from here on out as long as Michigan continues to do well and they continue to, either win or contend for Big Ten championships. This is going to be an annual experience, I think, with Jim Harbaugh in the NFL and flirting with coming back to the league.
What is up next for you? What are you doing right now? That you're in the war room helping with the draft pick, right?
Well, outside of that, outside of making sure that the brass gets everything right, which obviously I'm speaking facetiously, but we're still churning out content on a weekly basis. Things are going to start to ramp up a little bit next week, as believe it or not, we're inching closer and closer to free agency. Free agency starts here in about 5 weeks. So starting next week, we're going to have our free agent tracker podcast. That's what we're calling them. And so we're going to take a look at some of the big name in-house free agents for the Colts and examine, the seasons that they had, their contracts, and the likelihood of them coming back, sort of the pros, the cons, and how that would factor into roster construction going forward. So we'll do that starting next week. We're going to take a look at Ashton Doolin and Bobby Okereke for the Colts, on top of our weekly podcast that we have every Tuesday on the Colts Audio Network and Colts.com, so on and so forth. And then we have our weekly radio show on Fridays every week. That's called The Last Word, and that airs on our flagship station in Indy. That's 93.5, 107.5 The Fan, and that, of course, can also be heard on demand after the show is over on Colts.com and the Colts Audio Network. So we're ramping up. I mean, the Combine's going to be here in about 3 weeks, and then the Super Bowl is going to be over, and then like I always say, it's just rinse, wash, repeat. There is no NFL offseason. I mean, literally, the Super Bowl is done 2 weeks later, you got the combine. 2 weeks after that, you got free agency. And then about a month after that, you got the draft. So things are definitely picking up. I mean, this is a slow time of the year. If you don't make the playoffs, it's kind of slow. But then as soon as the Super Bowl is over, it is full steam ahead.